welcome to the TCAT 10-Minute Take. It is I, your host, Sheree L. Stewart, and with me, as always, is my intrepid co-host, Don, the man, the myth, the legend, Chambers. And today, we are talking about the little things. But before we get started, make sure you click on that subscribe button and you click that bell to get all of the 10-minute takes as soon as they drop.
Ooh.
And I will set our handy timer because I'm a terrible host and I didn't have it ready.
It's okay.
It's
just one of the little things. See that? See that?
I see what you did there.
See that?
All right. And let me see. Shit. Okay.
Go. Okay. The Little Things, directed by John Lee Hancock, starring Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. First off, let me give a disclaimer. If you hear some whining in the background, it's my little dog, who is being very needy right about now. So, just so you know. Okay, The Little Things. First impressions. If somebody doesn't know, The Little Things is about Denzel Washington, who's a cop up in Northern California, who comes back into LA, sort of gets embroiled in a local mystery, and we kind of find out there's a past to it that ties into his past, and how, these things sort of converge with him, the murders, and the other cops in LA who remember him from his time down there. Now that we sort of have the basic gist without really giving a whole lot away, let me just say I was not impressed with The Little Things. I was not impressed with the story because it really let me down in that last act, because I kind of saw where it was headed, and I was like, oh boy, this is really a whole lot of nothing in its payoff. It kind of reminded me of when I used to watch the TV show Lost, and it had all of these questions come up, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait till we start getting some answers to see what is this, was this, and then you got to a point where you realize they're not going to answer any of that, are they? They're just going to let it go, and The Little Things wasn't even so much they're not going to answer, but the answer you basically got was just like, okay. It was just, all right. Let me say, Denzel's fine. I mean, Denzel's Denzel. He's in it. He's there. I thought Jared Leto was a great, creepy guy. Because honestly, I'm watching and I'm like, could he? It's possible. He's really weird. So I like what Jared did because it had me asking questions about him. I thought Rami Malek felt odd, almost miscast, kind of, to be this sort of hotshot detective. I don't know. It just, maybe it's his mannerisms, his natural sort of acting mannerisms that just didn't feel like I've been a cop long enough to where I've risen to this detective level. I don't know. He just felt out of place to me. Not that his acting was bad, but just him placed amongst everybody else, for me, it didn't work.
And where would you put it on our scale?
Oh, on our scale, I would, as a generosity, give it a matinee ticket price as being generous. This is really for what Netflix did, just let it come out on Netflix and watch it there. I mean, if I had to even give it a number scale, it's like a 5 or a 6, mainly because at first it kind of grabs you and you're like, all right, let's see where this goes. But man, I'm telling you, once you get past the halfway point and then you hit into the third act and you kind of see where this is going and you're a little like, oh no, they're just going to kind of leave it like this, aren't they? And it's,
yeah.
And that supposed twist at the end, I was like, really? Like that's it. Yeah, I was very disappointed story-wise because they wanted to set it up as something, and they really just kind of let it sit there, and they dropped the ball on that one.
Okay. Well, I didn't hate it. I will say that I feel like Denzel. Okay, first of all, I don't even know where to start. This movie, I have so many thoughts about this movie. It's been living in my head rent free since I watched it. Now, this movie was written in 1998, the script. It's been kind of floating around Hollywood and different directors and different actors attached. And it's just sort of, so it was set in the early 90s. So that's why there's like, and it makes sense for that time period for the story to work even a little bit with the technology we have. However, it does have that sensibility of, with the climate that we're in right now, that they didn't even really do any rewrites to kind of color the way that we look at policing. And, you have these questionable cops making questionable decisions. And it's just from the lens of 1998, really. And that was a little bit disappointing because it's just, this is not where we are right now. If this movie, I could see this movie, if it had came out in the mid 90s, it would have definitely been on my regular rotation of a movie list with like Seven and Fallen and all those cop movies that I love.
It's funny you mentioned Seven. It kind of felt like it wanted to have that vibe.
It wanted to have the vibe of a Fincher Seven without the real heavy, I don't know, commitment maybe. Now, and I would say that I feel the opposite of Jared Leto and Rami Malek. I feel like Jared Leto almost ruined this movie. Like, he came into work and was like, I'm going to be a character today. And so he had his fake nose and his colored contacts and his fake teeth and his fake belly. And he was obviously has never carried a belly in his life, because when he's walking, he's like, I'm a fat man and this is how fat men walk. Doo-doo-doo. Like, you see him, and I could almost audibly hear, like, there's a scene where they're doing a stakeout, right? And so Denzel and Rami Malek are in the car and they're not saying anything. And then Jared Leto walks out like, I'm carrying a fat man belly. And you could see it on their faces, both of them together, like, this fucking guy. And it's like, it's almost like a character, but also in real life. What the two of them are like, this fucking guy. And his character, and maybe I'm in the minority on that, because he got the Golden Globe nomination over the other two, and I'm like, are you this fucking? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was a little
character routine that he's just Jared Leto, man, and it was comical. Like, if they had made it be a reveal where the belly was fake and all of it was a put on, where he was just a weird dude doing weird dude stuff, then I would have been like, all right, cool. But it was clearly an actor who was just sort of an exercise in masturbation, which is something he loves to do. And I wasn't jibing with it, except for the fact that Denzel and Rami, for me, were strong enough to overpower it. I do agree with you that I wish they had, it's so freaking weird. Like, he doesn't show up until half the movie.
You're right.
Like, a good, almost a third, maybe closer to a third, is when he finally shows up. And we do focus a lot on Denzel and his general arc. And that's great, because he's great and his arc is interesting. And I don't know. I almost needed less of Jared Leto if they're going to make him be as inconsequential as he actually was. Because
right, which he ended up being,
sacrificed Rami Malek's arc, because it was almost like a 7. Like, you're absolutely right. Now that I think about it, really, with the Rami Malek being the Brad Pitt character, where, you're watching one cop try to redeem himself and one cop falling into the patterns of the old cop. And I feel like that crossover could have been much more interesting had the twist at the end not happened and you had that true crossover. I do feel like, not that he was miscast, but that he just didn't have enough time to develop. It was very rushed, where he was like straight, tight, G-man cop to his inevitable, like, obsession with the case, it didn't feel like it really evolved to that. Like it was abrupt. It was sudden. Like how the whole, maybe it could have been taking on his marriage and his family. Like it felt very rushed and forced because we spent so much time watching Jared Leto walk around with this fake belly, pretending to be weird.
That's true.
And so, I definitely think that it's worth a matinee. I would have watched, if I had seen this in the movie theater as a matinee, I would have been like, okay, cool. If I had paid full price movie theater ticket price in this economy, in 1998, I would have gladly paid full price long kiss goodnight movie theater ticket, $12. I would have been like, cool.
Yeah, that's true.
In 2020 currency.
Not for this. No. So I
2021 is not the time for some shenanigans like this. However, it's found a good home on HBO Max.
Sorry, it was HBO Max, not Netflix. My bad.
Yeah, on HBO Max. I think that if you have that, it's worth a watch. It's not worth running out and getting HBO Max. However, HBO Max has got a whole slate of Warner Brothers stuff that's coming up, which is going
to be worth it.
Yeah,
which is absolutely worth it. Yes.
Yeah, matinee all the way.
Yes.
Denzel was so good in it, and I'm really irritated that he didn't get a Golden Globe nomination, and Jared Leto did. Makes me feel like, I mean, you know what we say, that awards are nonsense anyway, but this just like solidifies it. Like I'm washing my hands of the Hollywood Associated Foreign Press. Like, no,
please.
Where's the spray bottle? No.
Wash our hands of them. But
don't.
Right.
No.
But do not wash your hands of TCAT 10-minute takes. No. Don't wash your hands of those. You make sure you go down there and you subscribe. You hit that bell. You also can find us on our website at tcatnetwork.com, where you've got all the links and listings of all of our 10-minute takes, our podcast episodes, as well as episodes for Good Morning Antioch, which you all need to check out. It is getting better and better with every season and every episode. So for this one, Sheree seemed to like it more than myself. She found a bit more redeeming value in there. It happens, but with this Warner Brothers slate coming up, we're definitely going to have more where maybe we'll be able to see it in the theater. Chances are we're going to be watching it on HBO Max with everybody else. So definitely stick around and subscribe for when more of those drop, and then we watch them, and then we give our reviews. So till the next one, see ya.